So you're in between jobs and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should do gig work. Well, Uber and all other gigs are kind of a game. Let me show you. On Saturday, I was out doing Uber in Binghamton, and I was getting this $3 bonus for every single trip I pick up within this circle near Binghamton University. And a concert had just let out, so it was surging. So I had a brief moment in time to pick the very best trips. And let me show you the trips that I got. The first one, after all expenses, it paid me $96 an hour in profit. Really, really good. Then I proceeded to decline a bunch of trips. I declined a $42 an hour profit, a $97 an hour profit, 25, 35, 41, 46, 36, 53, 38, 76, 36, 40, 44, 53, 52, and 41. These were all very good rides, but I knew there was a best one out there. And sure enough, at 9:01, the next one came in and it paid $155 an hour in profit after all my expenses. There will be good times. And if you're doing this part-time, it'll feel great. And you start to think to yourself, should I do this even full-time and not even get that next job? Well, by the end of this podcast, I've got 5 questions that you can ask yourself to see, is this a good fit for you? Hi, my name is Levi Spires, and this is the Tip You in the App Daily Drive podcast. Today's Daily Drive podcast is brought to you by the Gig You app. Gig work, like Uber or Lyft or DoorDash or anything, can be a pretty good source of income, flexible when you're in between jobs. And sometimes, like that brief moment the other night, it was a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun. And you can make some really, really good money. But Uber is a game, and you saw me. Uber was giving me all these rides outside of the bonus area, rides that had super long pickups that were not as profitable as the ride that I probably could have gotten. So it's a game. And that's just one of hundreds of games of being an Uber driver or DoorDasher or any other type of gig work. And there are costs, not just the costs of like fuel, but like wear and tear on your car, tires. How about depreciation on your vehicle? And then there's the cost of your time. The truth is, I was out pretty late on Saturday night. I could have been doing other things like sleeping and getting ready for a job interview the next morning or something like that. Not that I had a job interview on a Sunday morning, but you get my point. It's the opportunity cost. To make good money, especially as like an Uber driver, you have to drive really odd hours and you have to drive potentially far away from your home to make the best type of money. And then you're out on your own. You're by yourself. If you've never done gig work before and you're used to having a job with an employer, understand when you're with an employer, you have a boss, a supervisor, you have subordinates maybe, you have coworkers at your office or at their shop or wherever you're working. You have an HR. You have some sort of entity protecting you to some extent as an employee, at least giving you all the rules. That's not how it is with these apps. With these apps, you're dealing with a company that could care less about you. They would sure enough just as kick you off the app rather than solve your problem. And the customers, they see you as just another person. And here's the one thing that kind of surprised me. My fellow Uber drivers, because Uber is pretty much what I do, they don't like you either. The reality is this: when you find a sweet spot, a hot spot, like I did that night there at Binghamton, it felt great. And then every other Uber driver I saw was competition. Nice people, I'm sure they were great, but I saw them as competition. And so you'll get drivers like me that produce content to give you advice. Since you're out there all by yourself, the apps aren't going to tell you how to make the most amount of money. The customers sure as the heck don't want to tell you. They don't care. Neither do your fellow drivers. Drivers like me will start to produce content to kind of give you advice. Hey, here's some ways to make more money. But the truth is this: I don't know how to help you make more money. Could I have given you advice to go drive at Binghamton and pick which ride to take? Who knows? The reality is this: every single state, region, city, neighborhood, car, driver, passenger, time of day, time of week, time of season, everything's unique. Sometimes Uber gives different bonuses. Like, for example, Uber gave me that $3 promotion per ride in Binghamton. It didn't give my friend Zeke that same offer. And then he got an Uber Eats promo that I didn't get. And so everything's unique. And the idea that me or anybody else can tell you exactly how to make the most amount of money, we're just lying to you. Now, and so I feel awkward saying that because here I am a content creator. What I'm trying to do is hopefully give you some ideas, but ultimately you're just going to have to test it out on your own, which means, quite frankly, it just takes time. It takes a long time to get good at this gig. So what happens is you lose your job or you're in between jobs and you're like, well, you know what? I think I should go out and be an Uber driver or a DoorDasher and make a little side hustle money with some flexibility while I start to look for other work. But these gigs, they're a game. They're like casinos and they'll start to tempt you. They'll be like, hey, you're a new driver. Here's a $400 promotion if you do 40 rides or whatever. And they'll tempt you to get into the game. Then you'll go out on a Friday night and you'll make money like what I just did. During that window, I made some really good money and it felt good. And then if you're smart or analytical, you start to annualize the numbers. You're like, hey, I could make $300,000 a year being a driver. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way. In fact, the rest of my week didn't look like that at all. I only ended up earning $38 an hour before expenses active last week. It was a really bad week for me. But that brief moment at Binghamton, it felt really, really good. But the rest of the night, the rest of the time, it didn't work out that way. So you're going to have to make a choice. What's going to happen is this happens for almost every single driver. And drivers, if you're out there, let me know if this is true or not. You decide you want to start the gig and it starts off really, really well. You know, there's a couple of challenges, but for the most part, between the bonuses and everything else, you make a lot of money. And then you're looking, if you're not savvy enough, you're looking at that top line revenue going, wow, I just got $1,000 or $2,000 deposited into my bank account, or I went out on a Friday night and I earned $200 or $300 and it felt really good. And you start to analyze it and you think, you know what? Maybe I don't need that other job. Maybe I should just do this. There's so many Uber drivers. There's like 6 million drivers in America. There's a lot of them are full-time. They're doing something. Why can't I do it? And it's not a bad question to ask, but just be careful because it could be a trap. Because remember, that brief moment when I was making good money at Binghamton, I know now that I'm in my 6th year as a driver that the summer's about to hit. In the next 3 months, when there's no colleges, no Syracuse, no Cornell, no Binghamton, no SUNY Oswego, no universities are going to be in session for the next few months, and it's going to get super slow. I'm going to be happy earning $25 an hour. And it's hard as a full-time driver. Now, people like me make it work, but here's some of the questions you should ask yourself before you decide if you want to be a full-time driver. Number 1. Are you measuring your net revenue, your net income, not looking at your top line revenue? Again, if you look at the way I measured those rides, now I didn't do it on the fly. I have an app called GigU, and GigU will show me the profitability per hour of each ride. And I recommend you download it and test it out. It looks kind of like this. But you have to look at your net. And then what is your net? That means you've got top line revenue, not the money that goes into your bank account, but you have to account for fuel, estimated maintenance, estimated depreciation, and of course your time. What else could you be doing with your time? Now that's a hard number to come up with, the opportunity cost of what else you could be doing with your time. But if you can figure out your fuel cost per mile, your maintenance cost per mile, and your depreciation cost per mile, you can start to get a pretty good handle on what you're actually making. And then you still have to put money away for taxes. Remember, Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, they're not taking out any taxes out of at least your taxable income. They're taking out state taxes or maybe the airport tax or something like that, but they're not taking out your taxes. And you're going to have to put money away. So for me, for every mile that I drive, whether it's on a trip or not, when I turn that app on and start working, 30 cents every mile. 30 cents for every mile I put away into a savings account just to make sure I can pay for tires, taxes, my Tesla's battery when I got to get fixed, You got to put money away because it's a business. So, first question is, are you measuring the real income, not just the cash that went into your bank account? The second question is this sustainable? Or are you just looking at a good day or a good week or a good month? It's tempting, like I say, to look at that money going into your account and having a good time thinking, hey, this is kind of fun. And it is. That's the way I felt when I first started doing it too. Now, I started during COVID, and is this sustainable? There's a lot of questions. Like, is it sustainable? Meaning, like, there's good days and good weeks and good months, and then there are bad days and bad weeks and bad months. That's about what I'm about to go through. In the spring, when the college is in session, it's great. It's good money for me as an Uber driver. I'm willing to drive at night, whatever it might be. But during the summer on a Wednesday, it's going to be so slow. I'm going to be sitting in my car parked, just hoping to get a ride, not just declining rides, but taking every ride that I can get because they come in one or two every hour. So you have to kind of go with the good and the bad. So is it sustainable? Another part of sustainability is your health. I've put on so much weight sitting in my car as an Uber driver. And you'd think in my previous life, I sat at a desk, but I felt like I was moving a little bit more. The truth is, driving a car is extremely unhealthy. And you're out there getting gas station food, and Mike and Ike's are the candy that I always get. It's horrible. So is it sustainable not only on your bottom line, but are you prepared to take, or at least do the things you need to do health-wise for yourself? Now, the third question, are you going to build something, or are you just staying busy? Like I said, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, they're all like a casino. It feels like a game. And so you start to get busy, especially on a busy night, like I did that night at Binghamton. And you're feeling, it's like, oh, it's feeling great. And you're staying busy. Or even on a slow day, you're getting out and you're staying disciplined, and you're going to go out and work, even though the money's not there, but you need to bring some income in. So you go out and you get in your car, and are you just staying busy when you could have been doing something else with your time? One of the questions people always ask me is like, Levi, why are you an Uber driver? Because in a previous life, I was an accountant and all these kind of things. I don't want to go too deep into it. And there's other videos that kind of explain why I'm a driver. It's because I choose to do it. But the temptation is to just get in your car and drive when there's probably something else better that you can be doing with your time that'll make more money for you in the long run. And I encourage you just to avoid being a driver, just staying busy. The next question, and this is a question that I have to ask myself all the time, is would you choose this if you weren't under the pressure? Like if you didn't need the money? If you've got a ton of money in the bank, maybe you're, retired or whatever it might be, you're getting a pension or whatever, you're drawing Social Security. Sometimes it doesn't really matter whether you make money or not. But sometimes for drivers like me, I need the money. So I feel pressure. And sometimes that pressure leads me to make bad decisions. Bad decisions like going out and driving in a new place to try to make a lot of money when I should have just stayed where I was. You start to feel pressure to make money. And so the question you have to ask yourself is like, would you choose this? Or is there something better you could be doing with your time? And that's again, you need $100 to pay, I don't know, your cell phone bill or whatever. You need it tonight. So you start to feel the pressure and you go out and you drive. I just don't know if that's the best decision right away. And then the final question, maybe the most important one, is this replacing your job or just delaying your next one? That's what happens if you're doing gig work is you kind of start to get good at it and you understand how to manage things or whatever. And you start to let the app and the system manage you. What I mean is like Uber gave me this Binghamton promotion on a Saturday night. And I was like, I should go down there and give it a shot. I wanted to make a little bit more money, and maybe I did or it didn't. It didn't even matter. The system managed me. And I could have been doing something else with my time, potentially. Maybe went out early on a Saturday morning, did my Uber, my normal shift, and then spent Saturday night, quite frankly, working on my resume or making videos like I make videos here for a living or whatever it might be. And so the thing about gig work, ultimately, as you start to go through all these questions, is like, Sometimes the gig itself prevents you from doing the things that you're really destined to do. Because it's a game, because it's a casino, you start to feel like you're winning. You're hitting the cherries on the slot machine or whatever it might be. It feels good getting that money in your bank account right away. All along, you're preventing yourself from doing the things that you're probably really supposed to do. Now, I know you're like, Levi, you're a driver. Why are you so good at it? Why are you doing it? Well, again, I want to be very clear. Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, all these other gigs, they're really, really good when it comes to flexibility. And if you do it well, you can earn some money. I did put $1,000 into my bank account, more like $700 after expenses. But hey, I made $700 and I managed the flexibility of my time. And overall, it worked out well for me. And I still give myself the flexibility and time to do the things that I want to do, the things I love to do, like write or make these videos, connect with my community. I couldn't do this video work or write in my previous life for whatever reason, doesn't even matter. So I still like it, but I understand the compromise. I understand what I'm losing. I could make double, triple the amount of money, quadruple, maybe more as an accountant or as an entrepreneur doing other things in life. But for me, I wanted to do this gig work. And so I've reduced the cost of living at my house, my mortgage, my cars, whatever. I live a pretty frugal life, so I don't need to make that much money. And I know I can survive living off of the worst of the months as an Uber driver. So I set that as my baseline. And then I focus on making as much as I probably can. Then I start to work on the things that I love, my passion, writing and video, storytelling, etc., connecting with you guys. I'm not justifying it. I'm just explaining it. I know drivers, some of you are looking at that night going, that was an amazing night. And some of you are looking like, oh, I've had better nights. And I know we start to compare and all that kind of stuff. If you are considering doing gig work in between work, I encourage you to just either take it as a gig and focus on getting that next job. But if you get to that point where you're like, should I do this full time? Is this the right gig for me? Maybe find that other source of income, that other source of life or passion or whatever it might be to offset the gig work, because it's not going to be always great. It's going to get harder and harder and harder to make. There's more drivers coming on the platform. There's autonomous cars coming. It's going to get harder and harder and harder to make a living doing this. And you really have to do a gut check, because once you're in the game, now you're in the game. It'd be so hard for me to become an accountant again. I've been in this game for 6 years. You kind of lose. You know what I mean? As a 50-year-old person, nobody wants to hire a 50-year-old accountant that's been out of work for 6 years. So that's all I'm hoping that you do. Take a look at it. Drivers, let me know in the comments. If you're a non-driver, ask me whatever you guys want. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. Drivers for 2026, I hope that you are making a lot of money, as much as you possibly can. But I want you to be safe, healthy, and happy. Drivers, please check out the sponsors of the channel. You got Gig U, Lay's Fit, Red Tiger, all great products. I really, really like them all. Please be safe, be healthy and happy, and know that I'm cheering for you. Be well. Bye.